Let's take you straight to Charleston now, the community waiting for Ian next. Charleston, South Carolina. CNN's Miguel Marquez is there live for us. Miguel, high tide just as the hurricane gets set to come ashore. What are you seeing?
Yeah, it is pretty miserable right now. This is about the worst that we have seen. The winds are really starting to gust up, and you can feel that rain as it's coming in, being pushed by the wind. And when it starts to hurt your face, and even you can feel it through the clothing, you know it's getting bad. I want to show you some of what the bay here looks like right now. The water really coming up. The tide is not expected to be as high as they thought it was earlier. It was forecast to be just over 9 feet earlier today. Now they're saying it's going to be about 7.5 feet. One of the good little bits for Charleston is that the storm is passing, it looks like, to the north and to the east of us, which means a lot of this wind is going to continue to push the water out into the ocean, toward the ocean. I want to show you, so this street is blocked off right now. There are some folks out and about, but you know, this is not a terrible storm for Charleston so far. They are blocking some streets. There is some local flooding. There is power out to a couple, to several people in different areas, but it is low country. They are used to this. Certainly they're not expecting anything as bad as certain Florida has seen, but they are on alert. Right now is sort of the worst of this. They're expecting that they may see some flooding in this area and other parts of Charleston. But right now, everything's in place to deal with this storm. The wind clearly picking up right now, and they are just going to wait it out. They're asking people to stay home and enjoy the day in the warmth of your own home. John?
And Miguel, if you can hear me, and if for any reason you need to go, please do. But you just made the point. Charleston is used to this. Charleston has routine flooding after heavy rains. There's a fear of some officials that complacency sets in, and you think, we'll ride this out like we did the last one. What is your sense?
Yeah, I think that's always a fear, but because of how hard this storm hit Florida, people are on much higher alert. They have been watching for much of the day. I mean, this is the worst of what we've seen in this storm so far. We do see a few people coming down here to sort of look around, but the water hasn't come up as nearly as quickly as they thought it would. And so far, Charleston seems to be doing okay through that, if one can. But right now, we seem to be probably in the worst part of this storm that Charleston's going to see. John?
Miguel Marquez live for us right there on the coast. Miguel, keep in touch throughout the hour as the storm gets closer and closer. Let's get more important perspective now. Chad Myers is standing by for us in the CNN Severe Weather Center. You see Miguel there, Chad. You've been through this time after time after time after time when he talks about the rain coming in sideways. Where is he in terms of his encounter with Ian?
He is just to the west of Ian, which likely saved damages in millions of dollars for Charleston, because the 5 a.m. forecast was for the surge, the tide, to get to 9 feet. Charleston floods at about 6.5. So yes, we are still going to flood a foot, but we're not going to flood 2.5 feet into all of the homes really in the downtown. Some sandbags can take care of that. It is still an 85-mile-per-hour storm, and it's still going to be moving right on shore in the low country of South Carolina, likely very close to Georgetown. I mean, big city there, big town, right along these marshes, though. So as the rain continues to come in and push the water in, I've been looking at the Murrells Inlet marsh pictures that I've been able to see on the webcam, and the water's completely over Goat Island. Now, the good news is they evacuated the goats yesterday. Goats are not as hard to evacuate as people, apparently. They just got right in the boat. Rain across parts of Carolinas and into Virginia. Some of this will be flooding again. 4 to 6 inches of rain will probably put down 2 to 3 feet worth of surge in parts of North Carolina, so that's still something to be concerned with. Winds are going to gust to hurricane strength, even into Myrtle Beach and all the way up from Garden City, really all the way to Cherry Grove. Here's the wind field. It's going to be blowing again right up into the Carolinas. We're probably going to get some trees down into North Carolina for sure, Virginia likely. And believe it or not, John, this starts to rain in New York City tomorrow morning. This gets all the way north of there. Here's the latest radar forecast, moving you up into Raleigh and Charlotte. And when these big cells come over you, there will be wind 40 to 50 miles per hour, even into North Carolina, Virginia, and possibly even all the way up, even into, let's call it just Maryland, Virginia, the Delmarva, and all the way up even to New York City. With some of these bigger cells, the wind will definitely come in. Now I have one more thing to show you, an earth cam from Myrtle Beach. Earlier, tide way out here. Now with high tide and the surge, right up to the marsh, and I've just looked at some pictures coming in from Surfside, coming in from Garden City. The water's in the streets right now, over the top of these dunes, because the dunes down there in the lower part of the low country of the Grand Strand, a lot lower down there, and the water is over the top of some of those dunes.
Let me ask you, Chad, a little perspective. We watched when Ian first hit southwestern Florida. You have the barrier islands there. We've seen all the heavy damage in Sanibel, for example. It's a different kind of a coast. You have the jagged coastline of South Carolina on the Atlantic side. Now you're on the other side. Obviously, it has crossed the Florida Peninsula. But you have Morris Island to the south, Sullivan's Island, the Island of Palms when you go up. You have the inlets, you have the rivers. How does that complicate things? Does that area help protect the coast, or is that water resupply potentially damaging to the coast?
Due to the fact that people build along the intracoastal, now that water is going to come in from the other side. So yes, it still does help, but you just have to stay away and, as people that want to live by water, not build so close, John.
Chad Myers for us in the Severe Weather Center. We'll keep in touch, Chad, throughout the hours and, of course, throughout the day ahead. Chad, thank you. It's been a long week. We appreciate everything. We want to show you some of the damage Ian has done. South Carolina is waiting. Florida is suffering. CNN's John Berman took an aerial tour. It shows only debris where homes and businesses in Fort Myers stood just days ago.
All that debris just littered everywhere. These were buildings? This was the building right there?
There were buildings, restaurants, and what used to be the Fort Myers Pier. The empty spots that you see there were homes.
I'm sorry. So these on this beach here, there used to be homes?
You're going to see the empty lots right here. As you see, those lots right there, those were homes. Those were hotels. Those were real property, 2, 3, 4, 5 stories high, washed away.
CNN's Randy Kay is there in Fort Myers, Florida, live for us. Randy, devastating when you see John Berman's view from above. You are at the ground level and seeing more of it.
Yeah, we certainly are, John. We are in Fort Myers Beach, and if you take a look here just behind me, you can see some of what we have seen along the way. That Captain Tony's Fishing Adventures, that's a really popular tourism boat here. Meanwhile, it's now on ground. It was pushed out of the Gulf and onto dry land, and you can see there's another boat behind it, that smaller boat, and then there's a trailer. That smaller boat was actually on that trailer. All of it was pushed onto dry land. And then there's a couple of other boats behind there. Both are 50 tons, actually. We spoke to the owner. This was his business. It was like a floating hotel. He actually rode the storm out on one of those boats, which now has a giant hole in it. And he was on it as it was carried to dry land. We spoke to him earlier, and this is what he told us.
Noisy, windy, a lot of rain, obviously. We held our own for a long time, till about 3 or so. We were able to keep the boat in the slip with the engines, but after that, when the tide shifted and came higher and the winds really ramped up, then the boat released and then we cruised across the parking lot.
He said it was absolutely incredible. He said he actually wasn't that scared. The boat is made of steel and he felt like he was safe. He also didn't think the storm was going to be so bad, but he watched other buildings collapse into the water and float away, others that had been on dry land. Here's what else we're finding in Fort Myers Beach. That was a marina across the way there. That's now shattered. There's restaurants that are shattered. We saw boats that are basically been tossed around like toys. They're in the trees. They're on the side of the road. There's a bunch of twisted metal and boats down there. And we're not far from the Gulf. If we went this way, we would go right onto the actual beach of Fort Myers Beach, what John Berman was flying over. But there are so many, there's so much destruction and so much debris in the road that they're turning a lot of people back, John. But this is just one example of somebody and his story to tell that we're seeing along the way here in Fort Myers Beach.
Before I let you go, Randy, I just want to get your perspective because your experience. And as I talk to you, we have some live aerial pictures of Sanibel Island, not too far from you, out the barrier island. You see the causeway has been destroyed. You're watching these pictures come in. And this is the challenge, Randy, whether it's Sanibel or where you are in Fort Myers. Day one, it's do we need to find people? Do we need to rescue people? Day two is sort of the woe. As you look at the devastation, you try to have some context. And now you start to just add it up. How long will it take? How much will it cost? When can I go home if my house is no longer there? What are you seeing?
Absolutely, and we have seen this steady stream of traffic, which is pretty remarkable because they're all being turned away. when they get to the beach. Some of them are just curious people, they want to see some of the damage. But I'm sure some of them are homeowners who would like to go and see what's going on with their homes, what's left of them, if anything, certainly at Fort Myers Beach. And even the boat owner who we spoke with, we saw the power company come by. The power lines are actually what stopped his boat from even going further to even where we are across the street. So he's sitting on power lines. So there's just so much work to be done and so many questions from people about what's next.